Let's visit the 90s all over again. Put on those hammer pants. This is Dope Nostalgia.
Hey everybody, welcome to Dope Nostalgia. I'm Naomi, your host, and this is episode 202. Here's a group that I've always found fascinating because they were just plain weird to me and to a lot of people. They had this crazy psychedelic look, and the song they put out that was a huge smash single was just so odd. But it kind of stands up. It's still being played, but I bet you didn't know a lot about Deee-Lite. So they're our topic today, and our good friend Joe Valenzuela is doing this episode with me from Milk Carton Pop Stars, and he's back. So we're going to do that episode about Deee-Lite, and we're also diving into our new segment where I talk to some Gen Zs about what they know about the 90s music. So our guest today is Liv. She's 14 years old. She's my niece. And here's what she has to say about the 90s. Okay. What's your name?
Liv.
And how old are you?
14.
Sweet. So I want to know what you know about the 90s.
Okay.
If I mention a name, tell me what you know about them.
Okay.
If you like them or not, be super honest.
Okay.
Okay. Janet Jackson.
Don't really listen to her. I know who she is.
What do you know about her?
I know she's Michael Jackson's sister.
Is that it?
Pretty much.
Can you name one of her songs? Britney Spears.
I don't really listen to a lot of her music, but I know who she is, and I like her. I just don't really listen to her music.
What else do you know about her?
I don't know. Like, she was in the 90s.
Can you name one of her songs?
Maybe One More Time.
Do you like that song?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you know about Britney that you don't like?
Her dad.
A good answer. All right. How about Madonna?
I don't listen to her music.
What do you know about her?
Nothing really. I know who she is. That's about it.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. Blink 182.
I love Blink 182.
How did you find out about them?
Through friends mostly.
What's your favorite song?
What's My Age Again?
Okay. Sweet. What do you know about them now?
Nothing really.
Deftones.
I love Deftones.
Okay, like a serious fan?
Yeah.
Okay. How'd you get into them, and what do they mean to you as artists?
I got into them like maybe about a year ago, and that was the first like band or anything that like I really got into.
Wow. Like the first like major fandom?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Like band.
Okay, what's your favorite album and song by them?
Favorite album, Diamond Eyes. Favorite song, probably Risk.
Oh, sweet. Okay. All right. What about Korn?
Love Korn.
What is it about Korn that appeals to you?
I like kind of how like hard it is.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Who's their lead singer?
I don't know. I'm not good with the names of the people. I'm just good with the songs.
Okay, cool. And what's a good song by Korn?
I like Twisted Transector, I think it's called. I don't know how to pronounce it because I'm a little slow, but
Okay. Good choice. Linkin Park.
I like Linkin Park. I listen to like not a lot of their music, but a little bit.
What's so special about Linkin Park?
I like that he can like change what type of music he does. Like he can do rap, he can do rock, he can really do anything.
Nice. Did you know that Chester Bennington passed?
I did.
Yeah. What about No Doubt?
Don't even know who that is.
No Doubt? Do you know who Gwen Stefani is?
Yeah,
Did you know that was her band?
I didn't.
Okay. So you don't know any No Doubt songs?
Mm-mm.
Have you heard I'm Just a Girl?
Yeah.
That's No Doubt.
Oh,
There you go. Paula Abdul.
not really a huge fan.
Have you heard of her?
I've heard of her. I'm just not really like a big fan of her music.
What does she do?
Doesn't she do pop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's known for her dancing. And she was as a singer, but she was also the head cheerleader of the LA Lakers. She was a Laker girl.
I prefer like more rock music
Okay.
opposed to pop.
What about Bon Jovi?
Don't listen to him.
What do you know by Bon Jovi?
Living on a Prayer?
How old do you think they are?
No idea.
You can take guesses.
Like from the 80s?
Yeah. Okay. Bryan Adams.
No, I don't like Bryan Adams.
Why don't you like Bryan Adams?
Because you dragged me to a concert when I was 7.
Your very first show.
Yeah,
You were super bored,
I was.
but you were so nice about it.
Yeah.
So now is that what's turned you off Bryan Adams?
Yeah.
His boringness?
Yeah.
Okay. How about Our Lady Peace?
Don't know who that is.
Canadian band?
Don't know.
Nothing? Deee-Lite.
Don't know who that is.
Groove is in the heart. Nothing. Prince.
I've heard of them. Don't really know that.
Prince is a solo artist. Have you heard of Purple Rain?
No.
Okay. No problem. Michael Jackson.
I've heard of him. Don't listen to his music because I don't like pop music, but
That's fair. Yeah. What else do you know about him?
I know he was married to Elvis Presley's daughter,
True.
and he bleached his skin, and that's about it.
Fair enough. 2 left to go. Soundgarden.
I like Black Hole Sun. That's the only song I know.
Their lead singer, Chris Cornell, was good friends with Chester Bennington. Now you know.
Yeah.
And the last band, Nirvana.
I love Nirvana.
How did you get into Nirvana?
My dad.
That's pretty impressive. What's your favorite Nirvana song?
I like Negative Creep.
I love that you love the deep cuts. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, we're done. Thanks, Liv.
Of course.
Wikipedia moments.
We're going to dance. We're going to dance. We're going to dance and have some fun.
Please bear in mind that Wikipedia is not to be taken as actual 100% fact. Any donkey could edit it at any time. If I'm reading you the artist's bio, that stuff is the real truth.
Deee-Lite was an American house and dance music group formed in New York City. The group's single Groove is in the Heart, which was released in 1990 from their debut studio album World Clique, was a top 10 hit in multiple countries. In December 2016, Billboard ranked them as the 55th most successful dance artists of all time. The band began in 1986 as a duo in New York City with Lady Miss Kier, her real name Kieran Magenta Kirby, primarily on vocals, and Supa DJ Dmitri, born in Ukraine as Dmitri Brill. He's the DJ, and then became a trio when Korean-Japanese jungle DJ Towa Tei joined the group in 1988. Initially, Kier and Dmitri performed their songs monthly in numerous downtown New York City nightclubs from 86 onwards. In 87, Kier bought the Akai S900 sampler, which influenced their sound tremendously. She also bought a Casio FZ series sampler. It's probably FZ, I know, I'm Canadian, which was used almost exclusively on their first album. Indeed, sampling played such an important role that they named their production company Samplodelic. From the band's inception, Kier designed the posters and club invites and was also the graphic designer for all 3 albums and 12-inch singles. The band played in both hip-hop and house clubs, and both gay and straight clubs, including Wigstock, and opening for native tongue movements De La Soul and Jungle Brothers. As described in Rolling Stone, they were drawing vivid, multiracial, pansexual crowds. Part of the band's appeal was its inclusiveness, as noted by Mademoiselle magazine. As a group, they're a festival of individuality. As a band, they're a party anyone can attend. In these early years, their live shows garnered a steady following and attracted Towa Tei as a fan. Thereafter, Towa sent Kier and Dmitri a bedroom DJ tape he had made, and they realized he, like them, also enjoyed a fusion of funk and techno. Towa and Dmitri began jointly programming the band's computer. Although Towa did not play any instruments, he was a record collector and added samples. They invited him to join the group in 1988, and later the 3 produced their first album. Kier wrote all the lyrics and melodies, and also asked Bootsy Collins to join in sessions. Dmitri played guitar, keyboard, and bass, and Towa gathered samples for fill-ins and grooves. Bootsy Collins introduced them to the Horny Horns, Fred Wesley, Maceo Parker, Mudbone Cooper, and Bertie Worrell. Collins also helped assemble their touring band. Together, the trio produced the first and second Deee-Lite albums under their production company, Samplodelic. In 1990, their first album, World Clique, shot to the top of the dance charts, and the song Groove Is in the Heart became their first #1 hit. The song features vocals from Q-Tip of A Tribe Called Quest, as well as the famous bass guitar loop sampled from the Herbie Hancock song Bring Down the Birds, and additional vocals by funk musician Bootsy Collins, a fan of the group. A politically charged second album was released following their success, titled Infinity Within in 1992. The album failed to chart as high as their debut, but they still scored 2 top 40 dance hits with Runaway and Pussycat Meow. So much history there with this group. We couldn't get any of the members to actually come on the show, and that's totally fine. But one of our good guests is back. Joe Valenzuela, Milk Carton Pop Stars. Welcome back to Dope Nostalgia as we talk Deee-Lite. So, Joe, this is the kind of group that to me was such a huge definitive part of things that happened in the 90s that I haven't done the show for a while yet because I was always like, man, there's so much to unwrap here. You know, with Deee-Lite, there's so much going on that I was like, how do I even touch this group? I don't know.
Exactly what you mean.
Because like the exciting thing, okay, let me just actually thank you so much for your time. Joe Valenzuela is back. He's one of my favorite guests that we ever have on this show. So thank you for making the time. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I was like, we haven't done one of these in a while. And I was going to message you when you messaged me and you're like, hey, let's do a show. And I was like, yes.
Yes. And so then I had the time today. I said, hey, let's do an episode. And you're like, Deee-Lite. This is one we've talked about doing in the past.
Right.
And like I said, this one was always something that I wanted to do desperately, but it was a lot to unpack because Deee-Lite has such a huge image. They're just so mind-blowingly like, wow. I was like, how do we approach this? I've tried to reach out to both Miss Lady Kier and Towa Tei about interviews and never, well, I got a response from a manager of Towa Tei who said he wasn't doing interviews at this time. It was very polite. So he's just not doing them. Her, I could never get a hold of. And DJ Dmitri, I don't think I got anything. So, but like those are the 3 original members.
Right.
Now, Deee-Lite. What was your first exposure to Deee-Lite?
Probably like most people, it was Groove Is in the Heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember, God, that came out in 90. So I was probably like 13, you know, like that, just preteen years. And I just remember like thinking they were so cool. And I never heard anything like that before in my life. And, you know, she had like that. Well, all of them had those like 60s outfits and the cool like flip, you know, hair. And it was just like, it was just so different. And then like Q-Tip was on the song and Bootsy Collins. And it was just like these genres that you'd never expect to go together.
Yeah. There was, that song was what I thought at my age of, I think I was 12. Yeah. It was utter confusion to me. I had no idea what the hell this was.
There's
so much going on. And with my limited knowledge of the 60s and 70s music scene, I knew nothing about disco or rock of that time. I was confused because I was like, who are they? What are they doing? Are they ahead of their time or are they way behind in the times? Right. They felt to me like this doesn't belong in this era. What is this? So but the funny thing was, is as confused as I was, I did buy their tape through the Columbia House, buy like 12 for 1 cent program, you know, because I was like, this is wild. I don't know what's happening. So they definitely caught my attention. I just didn't know what to do with that information.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you have more of a feeling of knowing what was going on with them?
Well, it's funny. It's because like I remember my mom liked a lot of like disco music, so I remember hearing like disco like in the house, like Donna Summer and ABBA, and I don't know, for whatever reason those two stick out the most to me. So like, you know, I knew of disco music, but I guess I didn't associate them with disco music, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Because to me, it was just, I mean, you know, that was like the prime time of like the whole dance pop genre or explosion, or so I don't know. I just thought they were cool and they looked different. And I thought I was cool because I listened to them.
100%. Like they were unlike anything else that was happening at that time.
Oh,
And the
for
thing
sure.
I couldn't figure out, like I said, was is this supposed to be a tribute to the past or is this supposed to be a psychedelic look into in a future of dance?
Right. I think
Uh,
it was a little bit of both.
yeah.
Because like that song was very like a throwback to, like different sounds, like you said, disco and
Hmm.
but then it was also like very current because it was like house music and but then it mixed funk and I don't know, it
Bootsy
was just like
Collins. They got
yeah,
Bootsy Collins.
it was just like nothing we had ever heard before, at least like, preteens. We didn't, to us it was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever.
Hmm. Was
So
was Bootsy Collins an actual part of the band or was he a guest appearance?
it was a guest appearance. It's funny because in preparation for today, I went back and watched some clips, and there was a clip of them when they were on Club MTV, and
Mhm.
downtown Julie Brown asked him like, "How did you get Bootsy Collins?" Like, "Oh, we just sent him a letter, and he called us, and we sent him our demo, and he said, I'd like to work with you guys." And she's like, "It was that simple."
That's
So
incredible.
yeah,
And then I saw a clip of them at the red carpet of the MTV Video Music Awards with Bootsy Collins with them.
yeah.
And whoever was interviewing them didn't even acknowledge that Bootsy Collins was right there. And he just stood there smiling and happy, like he was part of the group and was just
Right.
enjoying himself. And I was like, damn, that's something. From all these interviews I watched today, one thread that I noticed between them is there was a lot of talk about like a lot of the things were that they would say just kind of blended into one another about like love and the universe and how,
Mhm.
like how we're all one and take, all this like almost felt like the 60s totally in the way
Yeah.
that they were talking about like peace and love and understanding in all of their interviews. There's one interview that they showed where they're laying in a bed together. Just that's not like that hasn't been done. Wasn't it John and
Right.
Yoko that started that
Exactly.
originally? So it's not like a new concept, but this group was American house and dance music formed in New York City. Lady Miss Kier, her name is Kieran Magenta Kirby, and she was originally from Ohio. And she lived in a lot of different metropolitan cities throughout her youth. And then settled in doing work in New York, where I think where she met the rest of the group.
Mhm.
So, do you know much about how they came together?
I want to say her and Dmitri, did they go to art school together or am I making
I
that up?
believe so. I believe they went
Yeah.
to school together.
Yeah. So um, it's funny because when I was reading too, that she was a graphic designer and she designed like all their album covers and all the, single
She designed
covers.
their whole image.
Yeah. And it's just such a cool, like, blending of, people coming from different areas of art. I can't remember what Dmitri was studying, but I don't know if it was fashion or maybe I'm making that up too.
Hmm. I remember in one of the interviews he said we're less about fashion and more about style because he
Yeah.
says the two are different. But he was born in the Ukraine. In Ukraine, Dmitri Brill is his full name, and then that's where they met up. They met up with Korean Japanese jungle DJ Towa Tei, who's a very quiet man.
Yes.
He does. I think he's more about the music and less about the promo. I think all that kind of thing. He's shy and it makes him uncomfortable.
Right. Like he didn't
Probably
even
why I couldn't get an interview.
I know, right?
Yeah. And I don't know if he speaks English very well either, because the only interview I found of him online, he was speaking Japanese.
Okay.
Mhm.
That could be. I mean, we don't know. I mean, they had to communicate somehow, the three of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's really cool, their origin story. And like, if you ever have a chance, you can go on YouTube and see like clips of them before they signed their deal. They're just like, in their funky 70s and 60s outfits, just hanging out in New York City and like
Mm.
everyone's just vibing with them. And I think that's just what they were. They were like a party band and like, but everyone was invited to the party. You know what I mean? Like
They probably made themselves very hip and very like well
Yeah.
statured within New York's party scene and DJ community before their hits came out.
Right. And just very welcoming to like, they talk a lot about, like loving all people, whether you're gay or straight, black, white, and it's something, I don't know, you don't see that a lot anymore, or at least not as like people as vocal about it.
And in this regard, they were very much ahead of their time because they were drawing crowds of people who were feeling included,
Right.
who didn't always feel included, you know? People felt like of all walks of life were enjoying the music and shows of Deee-Lite, and they were including everyone. And I thought that was a really beautiful thing.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your first introduction to them too? Groove is in the Heart.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm
Yeah.
watching Much Music in Canada, and Groove is in
Uh-huh.
the Heart comes on. And like I said, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, this doesn't match anything that's really happening right now, in my opinion. I didn't think.
No, I agree.
But I'm also like 12 years old, and I, you know,
It didn't
I
sound
was
like
very, it didn't sound like New Kids. It didn't sound like En Vogue. It didn't sound like TLC. Well, everybody. It didn't, or Nirvana. It didn't sound like anybody.
right.
But this is 1990 actually. So yeah, it would have been more like New Kids and Paula Abdul and Janet. Those were the ones I was really listening to then. So the cool thing too is that they were to me so odd at that age that it made me even want to look into them more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up, like I said, listening to the tape. The music was kind of fun to have on in the background, but I never really engaged hard with it. What about you? Did you get like really deep in?
I remember like we've talked about in other episodes, I used to watch Club MTV religiously. So like, I remember they were on, they performed, but then they would like play their videos like of the other singles. I always thought it was unfortunate that they got labeled as a one-hit wonder.
I don't think they really were a one-hit wonder.
I mean, they're
like
not, but
for the Billboard Top 40, yeah.
Yeah, for like mainstream, I don't well, in the US's case, middle America, like
And
that's
as Canada, we usually follow the lead.
yeah, so like that's the one song. If you say Deee-Lite, everyone's like, oh, Groove is in the Heart, but they were such a hardcore dance act. Like they had so many number one hits on the Billboard dance charts, and I think they have so much like Groove is in the Heart. Don't get me wrong, it's a classic. It's an amazing song, but I always felt like they have so many other like cooler songs.
This is true.
Like
that song is very sporadic. Things are happening all over the map. It goes into different places, but that's kind of comparable to what K-pop does now.
Yeah, I could see that.
K-pop songs are very sporadic like that too. But like you said, they weren't a one-hit wonder because Billboard ranked them as the 55th most successful dance artist of all time.
Yeah. But,
so on those dance charts, they were huge.
Yeah, like I remember from that first album, like Good Beat was a big hit. Like in the I'm not like I was going to the clubs back then, but I used to read Billboard, so I would see all that because I was a dork and I would read it at the bookstore. But like,
I loved it too.
I was reading. There was some controversy when their single "Power of Love" came out because Madonna was accused of ripping them off with "Rescue Me."
What?
You read about that?
No.
Because like "Rescue Me" is like.
I do love Rescue Me.
That's like I believe in the power of love, which is like exactly what Power of Love says by Deee-Lite, and it was released a couple months prior. So there was always that. I don't if you can read up on it, but I heard that there was some animosity between the two acts at the time.
Well, as much as she is a trendsetter, I'm sure a lot of the things she was doing later too were influenced by what was culturally important at the time. Because you've seen Madonna do albums like Ray of Light, for instance, and she did it well, and it's a beautiful album, but it's not because she's the first one who did that kind of a style at that time.
Right.
There are times where Madonna was doing just what was hot at the moment musically.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of artists do that, so it's no fault of their own. But I think I definitely remember having the CD. but I don't want to say I didn't listen to it that much, but back then you had so many, like you said, like Columbia House, and you would get like 12 CDs at a time. Like, what am I going to listen to? And all the time I would listen to the same like 5 over and over again. But I really, really became a huge fan with their second album.
Yeah.
Which was Infinity Within. And the first single was Runaway, and I was obsessed with that song when it came out. I don't know if you remember that one.
No.
It was
maybe I should play some of it here so I can.
Yeah, it was what's funny is because the first album they had that very like 60s psychedelic look, and then the second album it was still 60s, but it was very like Parisian, like just like if you go back and watch those videos, like you can just like I don't know, it was such a cool album. That album cover is one of my favorite album covers of all time. And it was one of the first and only albums that were released. Remember, I think we had this discussion about long boxes in the US.
We sure did.
Long boxes. Well, they were one of the first acts to release that album. It was the CD it was some like Echo packaging where the CD basically was like in not a jewel case, but a what's it called? It's like we don't even listen to CDs anymore. I don't know what it's called. But, like where it's not in a jewel case, but it's like almost like I'm like making.
Is it made out of plastic or is it made out of paper?
It's paper, but like cardboard, and it's like
like it folds in together, like it folds.
So the CD
that's become more popular over the years within the CD era, anyway. Yeah.
So the CD would come like, I'm trying to say, like, okay, like here's my phone. Like imagine the CD came like it was all like folded out like this, like open, and on the other side you would see like the CD and everything. And then when you bought the CD and you opened it, it would fold into an actual like CD. It was to save like the environment and promote, recycling and whatnot.
So that was rather a new concept at the time.
But I was reading on Wikipedia actually that it was one of the few albums that they did that with. So, and they were like super into, like you said, promoting like love and like unity and, but with the second album, it got like super political, but like in a cool, like the album even says on the cover, like, I can't remember what it says exactly, but it says something like, something about this, no doubt about it, this album is a pro-choice album. And like a lot of the songs are, I don't know if you remember like Rock the Vote on MTV.
Yes.
So one of their songs, it's on the album, and it's just this short little song, and it's called Vote Baby Vote. And every year, like when it's election time, or every 4 years, I always think of that song in my head. So
I'm gonna play.
Yeah.
Can you hear this?
I do.
This is Vote Baby Vote.
Vote baby vote. Vote baby vote. Vote baby vote. Are you registered, baby? Vote baby vote. Vote baby vote. Vote baby vote. Are you registered, baby?
It's so cute. And it's that short, and it was
and they would use it all the time on those like Rock the Vote commercials to get like the youth out there to vote. So, and I think it was the first time I was listening to a band that like talks so much about, a lot of groups talked about like safe sex, and they did too. They had a song on there called I think it's called Rubber Lover. Is that the name of the song? I was like trying
Rubber Lover.
Yeah, Rubber Lover.
Yes, it is called that. Yes.
Yeah, and then there was a song called like Fuddy Duddy Judge about like corruption and stuff. Like it was just, I don't know, it was just and then there was this another song called I Had a Dream I Was Falling Through a Hole in the Ozone Layer.
That's like a fucking Fall Out Boy lyrics or title of the song right there. It's so long.
It was just like I guess I didn't realize. I was just listening to it because like, it's like cool beats and whatever. So
Why don't we, 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 take me away, release me from the cage, free me from the pain, and let me feel no shame.
And
That's
IFO is a really cool song too. It's with Arrested Development.
which one was that called?
It's called IFO, Identified Flying Object.
Oh, okay. That's track one. of
That's
that
the
album.
first track. And I don't know if you watched the Robbie Williams documentary on Netflix recently.
I haven't yet,
It's really
even though
good.
I love that man.
Me too. And you know, there's all this like footage that that they're showing from like back in the day that they filmed, and it was when he was promoting when they did was it The Ego Has Landed? It was like the combo of the first two albums but released for North America. And he was talking about, he was playing that song over and over, and he's like, I love this song, and it reminds me of America and New York. And I was just like, oh my God. And not only Deee-Lite, but like IFO. It's such like a a random song.
It is a random song, and that's the thing though. Like musicians, like I think musicians probably like deep cuts a lot more than singles too, because I know that I get very tired of hearing what's the big hit all the time.
Same.
I mean, Groove is in the Heart is still one of those songs though that gets airplay.
Oh yeah, I'll be on the dance floor.
Yeah, it's still known. And I still wonder, I wonder what the Gen Zs or whatever think of it when they hear it, because it just, you never know, you can't pigeonhole this song. There's no song like it.
Right.
But yeah, we'll play some clips of that one, especially the one Runaway you were talking about.
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah,
add a clip of that to the show.
cool song. And there's some cool remixes out there too.
I'm a big fan of the album cover of Infinity Within.
Oh,
Like
well, I
you
haven't
said.
It's released on well, here I have it. It was released on vinyl.
Yes.
So, and when it came out on vinyl, well, it was re-released on vinyl a couple of years ago, and I was like so excited 'cause it's such a cool album cover. I don't know if you can see.
It's a very cool album cover.
Yeah, it's just very
Pedal by
60s and like all the like funky colors.
100%. Yeah, like, and they always do so many different things. Show us some of your other albums that you
Oh
got
yeah. Well, I was kind of disappointed in myself. Like I don't own as much Deee-Lite on vinyl as I thought. Of course, like World
Oh.
Click, the first album.
World Click, the big one.
Yeah. So it says like Grooves in the Heart and Good Beat, Power of Love. There was another
What's your
song.
favorite track on that album?
Ooh. Probably
Now, when
Good
you said, I definitely remember Power of Love because I think
Yeah.
that was the second single.
Yeah. I actually really like Good Beat.
Good Beat?
Yeah, that's a good song.
Okay.
Good song. I mean, but
Sweet.
and Power of Love, that's another good one too. But and then I just found these singles that I had. Oh, Speak of the Devil, Power of Love.
Perfect. Oh man. So she just does all the artwork on that and she just
Yeah.
throws things
And
together.
then,
It's incredible.
like look at these like collages. I'm assuming she did all of these too.
Do you think these guys are on drugs? Do you think
mean-
this was natural?
Maybe, but like who cares?
It doesn't matter because
Who
you're
are
right,
we to
because
judge?
everybody was on drugs.
Exactly. Like look at this one. It's so like 60s, like beatnik,
Oh, that's cute.
right?
That
And, like,
is really cute.
back, like these like cartoon.
There- The back of that. Have you heard of the Canadian group called Prozac?
Prozac. I don't know why it sounds familiar to me.
What's their big hit? Sucks to be you. I know. Oh, there's so like, okay, Prozac was like a cartoon group. So when you
Okay.
showed me the back of that album,
Oh, okay.
one of the characters, the very bottom one, who's actually DJ Dmitri, looks so much like Prozac character.
Oh, fun. I'll have to look them up.
Yeah. One of them was a guest on the show. So yes. All right, where do we go from here? What do you have pulled up for research?
Wikipedia Discogs is always
Yes.
like news.
Yes. I feel like it's better though because you're dealing with like the fact that you're a fan and you have
Yeah.
all the other music. It's probably easier for you to talk about what really grabbed you. One thing I noticed too when I was looking up what is Lady Miss Kier doing nowadays, I didn't see a lot except for she was very active on Tumblr for a while.
Remember that.
She had her Tumblr, and Tumblr's like, I don't know what to say about Tumblr. Tumblr gets a bad rap because there's a lot of porn and stuff on it.
Mhm.
But like when you think about famous musicians, you don't really think about them being active on Tumblr.
Right.
But she was. It was kind of like her own blog thing she had going on there.
Yeah. Were you ever on Tumblr?
I had an account. Like I would look at different Tumblrs, but I never posted anything on Tumblr.
I would post stuff or I would like repost. Like I felt like Tumblr was like GIF land, like or GIF, depending on what you prefer. But
GIF
like
sounds better, yes.
yeah. And I just remember like, yeah, always finding like GIFs of like random shit and like
Mhm.
well now I want to go back and see if her page is still up. But she,
Oh.
you know what's funny is like
Look.
there was something else that I was gonna bring up too, and there was some controversy with her suing excuse me, like was it Sega Genesis over some like cartoon character that was like in her likeness, and there was some huge lawsuit with them.
Really? Let me look
And
that up.
I can't remember all the details, but I remember that. And you know, when Deee-Lite broke up, I think like a lot of us would just assume like, oh, she's gonna go solo, and you know, because that's what all lead singers do usually. And yeah, I know she DJs a lot, and I actually saw her. God, this is probably like 1997 or 98. She did a random DJ gig here in Chicago.
Oh, no way. Tell me all about that.
I just remember me and my best friend in college. I was still living in Milwaukee at the time, and we came up, and it was at this club called the Metro. It's this famous club here in Chicago, and we were so excited because we both love Deee-Lite, and like, oh my god, she's gonna sing Deee-Lite, and she didn't sing one fucking Deee-Lite song, and she just like
Really?
it was like she was spinning, and I just remember she sang this one song like at the end, and I don't remember what it was called. I just remember she kept saying over and over, like over a house beat, going, "My soul is on fire," like over and over. It was the most random
No
thing.
drugs. Who knows?
But
Who knows?
of course, we were like having a blast. It was still kind of like, you know, the 90s. So like the whole like rave scene was still a thing. So like, you know, there were a lot of ravers there, and like, yeah, which is funny because their last album, you know, they were always like throwback to the 60s, and the last album, Dewdrops in the Garden, is like, it was like full on 90s, like rave look and, you know, sound. And I was.
Do you feel like they caved a little bit into what was going on rather than their original sound?
I don't know if it's so much they caved. I think it had to do too, and with Towa Tei leaving the band.
Yeah.
And then he was replaced, but he did produce a couple of the songs on that album. So I think maybe it was just that whole new embracing the rave culture, and, you know, and working with somebody new. But
I think Towa Tei left because first of all, he wasn't comfortable with like doing stuff live.
Yeah, like he wanted to just like stay home and chill and like work on music.
He likes the production. He likes being in the background.
Yeah.
And so that really wasn't for him. And from what I understand too, he was also listening and experimenting with new genres and things that wouldn't have been fitting into the palette of Deee-Lite, you know?
Totally. I could totally see that. Or who knows, maybe he would have like a couple of years down the line, but maybe not at that moment. That's not what he wanted to do.
He worked with one of your favorites.
I know. We talked about this song on that episode.
You sure did. Kylie Minogue.
Yeah. German bold italic.
That's one of the most interesting things I've seen. I really thought that was a really cool video. So Kylie Minogue and Towa Tei did this song together. For those of you who don't know.
One of my
German
favorite
bold
songs
italic.
of all time. It's such a cool song.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hi. If you enjoy Dope Nostalgia, thank you. Consider becoming a Patreon subscriber today for as little as $1 a month. It helps keep the show on the air and rolling. So if you want to check out our Patreon, it's at patreon.com/dope nostalgia. $1 a month, and you'll be helping support one of your favorite podcasts.
Who creates the content we love?
I was a very emotional child.
But I was really shy growing up.
What makes them passionate?
I want to draw Saturday morning cartoons.
I could actually write songs.
Part of me comes out
in a design that I do.
And why do they persist?
You know, I was in a bad mental spot.
It was a big sacrifice.
The hard-earned lesson is you have to do your own thing.
And this has been like a rebirth for me.
Hear their stories on your favorite podcast player.
Creators After Dark.
Hey, this is Jimmy Ray. You're listening to Dope Nostalgia Podcast. Enjoy it.
Okay, I'm going to read you your rights. You have the right to be on television.
Get with it. You have the right to say, yes, baby.
Yes, baby. Yes, baby.
Do it.
You have the right not to remain silent.
You have the right to do the succotash,
the baby doll,
the freedom,
and the groovy way.
You have the right to say whatever's on your mind.
You have the right to vote. Use it or lose it.
Yeah, but I was going back today and like, you know, like I always said like, oh, Infinity Within is my favorite Deee-Lite album. But then I went back and I listened to Dewdrops in the Garden. I was like, oh, man, this is a really, really good album too. Like I think they're both better than the first album overall, but I really like the singles from the first album. They stand out to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. And I think a lot about there's a song called Call Me that Towa Tei produced, and I'm dating myself, but that was always my voicemail song that I because the song is like
I listened to that one today. Yeah,
because like you can call me anytime on my Hello Happy line, and I'd be like, hi, you reached Joe, blah blah blah, leave a message after the beep. Like,
do you think when Aqua came out that they were kind of doing the same kind of aesthetic? Because there's actually things about the two of them that it just dawned on me right now.
Yeah,
that Aqua reminds me of Deee-Lite.
I could see that. Like just kind of like a fun.
Just, all fun and huge and colorful and all over. Yeah.
There was another article that I was reading today where they were talking about, do you remember the group Army of Lovers?
Yes. I've tried to get them on the show.
Oh, I mean, in the US, their only like semi-hit was Crucified.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when that song came out. That was another like a Deee-Lite incident where I was like, "Who the fuck is this?" And like,
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's very odd and it's just not what was considered normal for pop radio. No, it was non-North American. That's what I should say.
It was very
normal is
European.
not a good word to use. Non-North American.
It's very European. No, but I remember an article mentioned like between their Deee-Lite's first and second album, like, oh, Army of Lovers came out and kind of like stole their thunder for a moment, but they didn't have the same impact, I would say.
Do you think those two acts were watching what each other were doing or not really?
Who knows? It could. I mean, I feel like everyone kind of like looks out on what they're doing, especially like Lady Miss Kier, because she was first of all, she had a kick-ass voice.
Very nice voice.
Really cool voice. And she didn't sound like anybody else on the radio at the time. And her style was just so cool. Just like she was
very confident.
Yeah, like the stuff she would wear and like it just, I don't know. It's like they don't make pop stars like that anymore.
They don't. We were talking about her Tumblr. So as I said, she had been very active up until 3 years ago, which was her last post on Tumblr. Okay. When I had reached out to her, it was 4 years ago. So I had just written directly to her on her Tumblr and never heard anything. But you were talking about the lawsuit with Sega. So this is what I've learned about this from this article on GameSpot, saying that she lost her mega lawsuit against Sega. Lady Miss Kier claims Sega misappropriated her likeness in Space Channel 5, but the court disagrees. So she had a 3-year court battle over the use of her likeness over that. So now she has to pay more than $600,000 in legal fees to Sega of America, the game maker she sued, for over the game Space Channel 5. The character in question was Eulala. We got to look up Eulala.
I know. I want to see. Oh, it totally looks like her.
She even appealed the case, but California Court of Appeals upheld the decision. Eulala contains sufficient expressive content to constitute a transformative work under the test. Or blah, 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 blah. Okay. So, yeah, she lost that. And now I'm going to look up Eulala.
Yeah, I totally see it, but that could just be me.
Space Channel 5. Okay. No, I see it too, but not.
Right?
Oh my goodness. You could say that looks like a lot of people.
Right. But I mean, I could see where she's coming
People
from.
could say that that's like Suicide Squad or whatever. They could say
Yeah.
like she's, I don't know. She looks like a typical like anime almost. I can see the influence.
For sure.
Um,
Oh
but
well.
yeah,
Well, that
I
you
can see
think
why she didn't win the lawsuit though. I'll tell you that.
well, you would think she'd be performing. I mean, I don't know if this lawsuit's been paid off. I couldn't imagine how long it would take to pay
Well,
off.
this girl's got pink hair, at least in the pictures I'm seeing. She doesn't even have the reddish hair from this cartoon. But anyway, yeah.
So there was that. That was a big
There was that.
But I also read, and I didn't know this at the time, that her and Dmitri were a couple.
Yeah.
And that's why the band ended when they broke up in 95. So that was the reason why the band disbanded.
I did watch an interview where they were a couple, and I wasn't sure how much that had to do with the band. That's always a risky thing, for anybody. You really never know how that's going to go when you're in a relationship. But I think that they were in a relationship before they created the band.
True. But I can imagine just how like stressful that is on a relationship, It's one thing like, have your own separate career but to like live together, work together, perform together, it's just gotta be like.
Yes, being with your coworkers in any other way is always stressful in any career. But I would think it's especially hard in music because like you live and breathe and eat your craft, 24/7.
Sure.
So there is really being an artist is unlike any other type of profession. It's not a 9-to-5 job. So that could be very overwhelming.
I believe in the power of love. 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 Feel the power. Let people call me naive. I believe.
What else do you got there?
Sorry?
What else do you have there? What else
Oh,
we
I
say?
showed you all the vinyl. I have CDs, but they're in my storage unit, so
Well, that's okay.
I need to take a visit soon and like take all that stuff out.
I'm wondering, like, basically a lot about what are the members doing now?
It's a good question. I know Towa Tei. Is it Towa Tei or Towa Tei? I heard like
I say Towa Tei.
I say Towa Tei too, but when they were on Club MTV, Downtown Julie Brown kept calling him Towa. I was like, is she mispronouncing it or am I?
No, I watched another thing today where they were calling him Towa, and I'm like, that's not like I know a bit about the Japanese language, and the way it's spelt is Towa Tei.
Okay.
Yeah. From what somebody puts out there anyway.
I think as far as I know, he's still doing music. Obviously not touring because he doesn't like to be on the road. And then I had read, I think Dmitri is also still like a DJ. But then there was the guy that replaced Towa Tei.
Yeah, we haven't talked about him.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about him, but I don't know.
DJ Annie.
Yeah.
Let me look up DJ Annie. So Towa Tei leaves, DJ Annie comes in. And there's not a lot of information about him at all.
I think sometimes on Discogs, list like what other bands they were in.
Yeah, and Discogs is an interesting place to go, actually. Old DJ
Mhm.
Annie has only like the Facebook page. Here's
Hmm.
the thing. How do we know we're looking at the right DJ Annie?
Right, that's the thing. But yeah, so I that third album was just very, I don't know, I think it's a really, really good album. Um and I'm just, like I said earlier, like I'm wondering if like his being in the group kind of influenced the sound.
Made the changes that the
Yeah.
departure of Towa Tei
Yeah,
would
but
have
it still sounded like a
influenced.
Deee-Lite album, it still had that like dance vibe and like,
What I'm seeing on Discogs is that DJ Annie's real name is Annie Schempf,
oh,
based out of New York,
okay.
mainly producing drum, bass, jungle style tracks. Okay. So I think that is our guy.
Maybe he can get an
Maybe.
interview with him.
If you're a big Deee-Lite fan, listeners, and you know more about DJ
Right?
Annie than we do, I think you should let us know. We have a hotline for that.
Call
And
me.
use commercial break. Call us and tell and correct us on this one. That's what we want. Okay. So yeah, there's not really a lot about what they're doing right now.
Like I said, I see her performing every now and then. She'll pop up at some like, Pride event or something, but
Yeah. I mean, I wish you would come to Pride here. I would totally go and check
I
that
would
out.
totally this year. I don't know. I was joking with my friends the other day because like we have our Pride event here in Chicago, and then we have something called Market Days. It's just like a big outdoor festival, but it's basically like Pride Part 2. And I said, we're getting aged out because it used to be like all our like, acts from back in our day. And now they're bringing all the acts that like, the people that are like in their 20s and 30s grew up listening to. So I'm like, we're getting aged out.
We're getting
So
aged out of everything,
like
my
Willa
friend.
Ford is going to be there or something one year, whereas before it would always be like Taylor Dane or Lisa.
I love that Taylor Dane was on Kelly Clarkson the other day. This
Oh
is
yeah,
the
that
thing
was
I love
awesome.
about Kelly Clarkson's show is she brings back so many people that deserve that love. Taylor
Yes,
Dane being one
I
of them.
agree.
Awesome.
And Kelly Clarkson can sing anything.
Mhm.
My God.
Like, I really appreciate her show. I
Yeah.
really do. Yeah. She's she brings out the current stuff as well as the older stuff. And you can sense her appreciation for just music in general and all the things that influence her. So kudos to the Kelly Clarkson show.
Huh.
But I guess to wrap this up, I don't know really what to say. Bootsy Collins is still around kicking it as well. He posted on his Twitter and back in, it says 2016, Lady Miss Kier really knew how to work it and the crowd. We had a lot of fun together on tour. Bootsy baby.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Nice. I appreciate that. But yeah.
Do you have a favorite Deee-Lite song or?
I think I like Power of Love better than the big single, Groove is in the Heart. Power of Love is more for me. I find Groove is in the Heart too erratic for me. But I have a good group of friends. Okay, Kendra, who's she's on the show quite often. My friend Kendra, her and her wife, JD and Kendra, they do their own 90s music performances all over the city. And they've developed their own like guitar and keyboard arrangement to Groove is in the Heart that they play regularly at their shows. And I think it's fantastic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Ooh, woo. Like they do like the sounds and stuff. Like it's just, they encourage the crowd to make those sounds.
Huh.
And I think that's really like brilliant and a good way to cover a song like Groove is in the Heart is to encourage the crowd to get super involved in making all the noises. Like 1, 2, 3, everybody. And everybody gets into it.
I can't remember what it's called, but it's some show on like Sirius FM or something or whatever it's called. And I can't remember. It's this one guy. I think he's a DJ or a producer. And the other guy that hosted, I only know him from God, what's that show called? Of course, I'm blanking out right now. But anyways, it's this guy. He's an actor, but they always kind of like take deep dives into songs, and they'll kind of like the one that's like a musician, he'll like break down a song, like a part of the song, and like listen to this and blah blah blah. And they did one on Groove Is in the Heart, and the part where she goes I like, people always thought that was her, but apparently it's a sample from the opening credits to oh my God, what's it called? With Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Green Acres?
Yes. It's the part where she goes, I love a penthouse view. It's that going, just like, and it was so cool. I was like, I would never have known that. I always just assumed that was Lady Miss Kier singing that.
But Deee-Lite was very much about samples, to the point where when they first started, it says here in their wiki that like they were called, what was it? I'm sorry, I sound so unknowledgeable. Okay. So she bought herself all the equipment that they needed for the group. And she used some of her samplers exclusively a lot on their first album. And it played such an important role that they named their production company Sampledelic.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I suppose if we actually were to take apart Grooves in the Heart, we would hear a ton of samples of different things, because the song is so disjointed in so many ways.
That makes sense.
It doesn't just flow smoothly at all, but that's what makes it interesting.
Right. Yeah. And then you did Sampledelic. That reminded me, they released it was like a remix album like after they had broken up. And it was called Sampledelic Relics and Dance Floor Oddities.
My goodness. You know what song popped into my head when I was thinking about all of that stuff too? Vibology by Paula Abdul for some reason. And I had just had the writer of that song on the show.
Oh, how cool.
Sandra St. Victor from The Family Stand. The Family Stand wrote the majority of the album Spellbound for Paula Abdul. I love that album. Good album. I still love Spellbound. So it's funny because I asked her what her favorite song was on Spellbound, and she said, well, it's Vibology, of course.
It's the chemistry between you and me.
She said her favorite part was doing the opera stuff in the bridge. All that stuff. And I was like, oh, you got me. It's so good. But that's a song too that I feel is like just so exciting because it's so broken up. It's so disjointed. Yeah.
It has like Grooves in the Heart, like
yep.
Je sais quoi.
It does. And it was only out a year or two after. But
did it come out around is that from
1991? Spellbound? Well, because Paula Abdul's Forever Your Girl came out in 1989. I believe that Spellbound would have come out 91 or 92. I saw Paula Abdul live on the Spellbound tour. It was called Under Your Spell tour in 92. So I think Spellbound came out in 91.
It came out, released May 14th, 1991. I'm looking at Wikipedia.
Yeah. She puts out Spellbound.
Girl actually came out in 88.
Was it 88?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because remember they released It's Just the Way That You Love Me, and it like flopped, and then when Straight Up became a hit, they re-released it, and then it became a hit like the following year, like in 89.
So it was 89 when I got the album.
Yeah, it's one of those like released in 88, but everyone got it in 89 albums. Like Bobby Brown's Don't Be Cruel, and like
these things hit in 89.
Yes.
I honestly think 89 was one of my favorite musical years. For real.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Hanging Tough was released in 88, but it was a hit in 89.
89.
Martika's debut album was released in 88, but it was a hit in 1989.
So true.
Yeah, that was a good
true.
year.
So many classics came out in 89.
Yes.
Pop classics.
Such a good year for music.
I love doing this podcast. It just feels good. But yeah. Oh, thank you once again, Joe. I always love doing these shows with you. It's fun to go down memory lane.
Too.
Social media, we've got it. Send us an email, dopenostalgiapodcast@gmail.com. Twitter, Nostalgia Dope. Or on Insta, dope_nostalgia.
This podcast is licensed by SOCAN because we believe that artists should be paid for their work.